7 people, including a 5-year-old boy, are dead in Alabama and Georgia after rare January tornadoes ripped through the South. Among the casualties, historic downtown Selma, Alabama. Everywhere those twisters went, they destroyed homes. They knocked out power to tens of thousands. Parts of Alabama remain under a state of emergency, and officials fear the death toll could rise as search and rescue efforts begin. NBC's Blaine Alexander is in Selma for us. Blaine, update us on those search and rescue efforts and how extensive is the damage you're seeing?
Well, Chris, unfortunately, we do know that just in the past couple of hours, the death toll has risen. Now we're up to 9 deaths that have been attributed to this storm. One additional death here in Alabama and another in Georgia. We understand that it was a government worker. And, you know, officials have told us that as they continue to go through and kind of look through the damage and really continue these search and rescue efforts, they do anticipate that it's possible that death toll could rise even further. But what you're looking at right here behind me kind of tells you why. It tells you just how strong these storms are. This is a church here in Selma, and this was a church which was undergoing renovation before the storms came through. But now what was done of that renovation has been completely wiped out. And some of the building that was already standing, you can see, has also been kind of torn apart. This really is not just what we're seeing right here, but this is a common scene. If you go throughout downtown Selma, if you go kind of from street to street, look at different houses, you will see areas that are just littered with power poles, littered with trees, roads that are simply impassable. In fact, officials had been urging residents to stay inside just because it wasn't safe. The roads were too dangerous to try and pass. We also have heard from people who had to ride out the storm, people who have had to duck into freezers, had to get out of their cars, just different things that they had to do to survive. Listen to what one person told us. Take a look.
We jumped out the car and ran into Laney's, and we all got in the freezer. A lot of praying and calling on Jesus.
So, Chris, I think what's fair to say is that really we could turn our camera almost in any direction and you could just see more examples of this devastation. This is what we're looking at right now, a residential street. And if you look down, I mean, the ground is littered with power lines right here. We see this on this street, on other streets that we've looked at here in Selma. I think another thing that's important to point out is that this was a very wide track area, a lot of areas seeing damage like this, Chris.